The Nintendo Entertainment System launched in North America in 1985 and revitalized the gaming industry. It spent an entire decade on the American market, and during that time, it produced many amazing titles. Today, we're looking at 10 more NES racing games, as I've already done one list on racing games, but there's plenty of them, so here's part 2. Whether they were good, bad, or average, I'm giving them time in the spotlight, and there's a good variety of them, from monster trucks, street racers, and motorcycles. But before we get into this list, if this is your first time on my channel, or if you just haven't yet, make sure you hit that sub button to watch plenty of other retro gaming content and NES content, from countdowns, reviews, and retrospectives. Alright, head to the starting line because we're looking at 10 more NES racing games.
Now you're playing with power.
Rad Racer 2. Rad Racer 2 is an arcade-style racing game which is the sequel to Rad Racer and features similar gameplay. Played with a 3D perspective from behind your vehicle, the goal is to race through a series of different tracks before time runs out. Along each track are several checkpoints, and crossing a checkpoint will increase the amount of time you have to reach the final destination. There are 8 new tracks that are featured with new graphics and music, each with a variety of hills, turns, and obstacles. And of course, other cars to get in your way. Crashing into other cars or any obstacles on the side of the road cause you to slow down or come to a stop and lose valuable time. Also new is a turbo boost, which allows you to reach speeds of 255 miles an hour. Now, unlike the original game, you now only have the choice of one car, and the red-blue 3D glasses are not supported. Bigfoot. On a personal note, Bigfoot is my all-time favorite monster truck, and is part of the reason why I was obsessed with monster trucks as a kid. Now, this is a monster truck game where you go from LA to New York City through all different kinds of races. At every stop, you first drive a qualification round against your opponent, which is in a top-down perspective. Here, you can collect money and several power-ups to use to win against your opponent. After the qualification, you go into a side perspective head-to-head race, where you have to push left and right continuously. In this view, there are all sorts of events, including car crushing, mud races, and drag races. And before you race, you can buy upgrades for your cars with the money that you've collected in the qualifying race. Rally Bike. There's a cross-country motorcycle rally going from San Francisco to New York. In Rally Bike, the player has but one goal: to work their way up through the ranks of the racers and place high enough to qualify for the next race. The game contains 6 stages to race through. The player controls a motorcycle and must cross the finish line before an established number of competitor bikes. The player must avoid crashing into obstacles, opposing racers, vehicles, and running out of gas. During a race, there are certain areas where the player can refill their gas, but stopping to refuel will cause the competitor bikes to take advantage and race past the player. Competitors never run out of fuel, but they are able to crash into obstacles, thus taking them out of the race. If the player places in the top 10 in a race, they are able to tune up their bike with better equipment. Days of Thunder. You play as Tom Cruise's Cole Trickle character against your rivals on 8 tracks based on real-life counterparts. The races are all on ovals, although the exact lengths, corner types, and gradients are all varied. This means that the ideal racing line on one track can put you into the wall on another. Qualifying is incorporated along the races themselves, and from time to time, you'll have to pull into the pit stop area. When doing so, you control the 5 members of the pit crew, but the other racers never have to pit. Formula 1 Built to Win. This is a career racing game. The player begins with a Mini Cooper and claws up the ranks of the racing circuit, starting with the lowest ranked races in the eastern part of the US. By winning races, the player can upgrade parts on the Mini and have a better chance at more races. Win enough of these races and eventually you will earn the opportunity to race using faster cars. The other cars available in the game are the Vector W2, Ferrari F40, and of course, the Formula 1 race car. The primary game is normal mode, but the game also offers a free mode, which allows the player to freely choose any of the 4 cars in the game to race on a selection of courses. Galaxy 5000. Galaxy 5000 is an isometric perspective space racing game where 4 spaceships compete head-to-head in outer space races. 1 or 2 human players can compete in the races. The rest of the ships are controlled by the computer. The ships complete several laps around each course and have limited firing capacity to throw their opponents off balance. The ships can also jump, and in fact, the ships can jump right off the edge of the course and drop down in space. If the player does not complete a course in good time, the entire racetrack will disintegrate and leave the ship to fall down. Supercars. The roar of the engines and high-powered machinery fills your ears as you lean back in your slick Nissan GTO 300ZX Turbo. It's you against the best drivers in the world in a race for money, glory, and the Supreme Championship. Buy extras at the garage such as turbochargers, missiles, and brakes to soup up your car and give you an edge over the competitors. Weave or blast your way through opponents and race between oil slicks and dirt piles to reach the finish line. So if you think you've got the guts to handle the speed and competition of a pro racetrack, take a spin in the fastest game of the century, Supercars. Monster Truck Rally. So if you're new to my channel, or if you just didn't know this already, I am obsessed with monster trucks, and I'm always looking for the perfect monster truck game. And so, Monster Truck Rally is one that I have sadly already played and reviewed. Here are my thoughts on it. Monster Truck Rally has every ideal event that you'd want to see at a Monster Truck Rally, but wastes every single opportunity to be realistic or fun. The courses are repetitive, dull, and lack any excitement. The trucks look ordinary, and the car crushing is a joke. Any fun against the computer will be impossible to find, but if you want to play a terrible game with your friends, Monster Truck Rally offers a 4-player mode. For me, this is one racing game you should surely pass on. Eliminator Boat Duel. This is a ruthless one-on-one boat racing game that can either be played against the computer or a human opponent. The races take place in such settings as open water, the bayou, and even industrial water districts. Each boat race consists of several sections. First, there's a starting line where you can expect a $2,000 fine for a false start. The primary sections of the races are a mixture of top-down racing and third-person racing from a perspective behind the boats. You'll need to avoid numerous threats like alligators, sharks, and whirlpools that will turn you the wrong way. There's also ramps to jump off, of course, people in need of rescue, nitro speed boost power-ups, and raw cash bonuses to collect. Bill Elliott's NASCAR Challenge. Slide into the roll cage of one of 3 ground-pounding 650 horsepower beasts. Then go head-to-head with 15 of the nation's most relentless racers in 3 different skill levels. You'll face them in the championship season on the speed-scorching banked ovals of Daytona, Talladega, and Watkins Glen. But test your skills and your strategies in practice first. The other drivers are only half the battle though. Depending on the track, you'll have to decide between automatic or manual transmission, which engine, spoiler, gear ration, and tires to use. Choose carefully, or you'll find yourself pacing the pits while your competitors are lapping you. So there you have it, 10 more NES racing games. Which racing game from this list have you played? Which one do you want to play now? And of course, which NES racing game have I not discussed yet in part 1 or part 2 of my videos? Maybe I'll make a part 3. Drop your comments down below, and while you're there, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for plenty of NES content. Thanks for watching.